You are lying in bed. The house is quiet. The lights are out. The room is perfectly cool, set to that ideal temperature you usually love. The blanket is soft. You are exhausted, ready to drift off into that deep, restorative sleep you haven't had in years. But then it starts. A low hum of warmth in your toes. You try to ignore it. You wiggle your feet, searching for a cold patch on the sheets. You find one. It feels like heaven, cool, crisp relief. But that relief lasts for exactly 10 seconds. The heat comes roaring back, louder this time. It creeps up from your toes to your arches, then wraps around your ankles. It doesn't feel like a cozy warmth anymore. It feels like you have wrapped your feet in electric heating pads and cranked the dial up to high. You kick the covers off. Now your legs are cold, but your feet are still burning. It is a maddening contradiction. You are freezing and burning at the same time. You stare at the ceiling, frustrated, tired, and maybe a little bit scared, because deep down, you know this isn't normal. You know that healthy feet don't feel like they are on fire when you are lying perfectly still. This is the moment most people make a critical mistake. They think, I'll just take a sleeping pill, or I'll just put a fan at the end of the bed. They treat the noise, but they ignore the engine. Think of the dashboard in your car. You are driving down the highway, and suddenly that ominous red check engine light starts flashing. What do? Do you take a piece of black tape and cover the light so you can't see it? Of course not. That would be insanity. You know that if you ignore the light, the engine blows. You pull over, you pop the hood, you look for the problem. Your feet are doing the exact same thing right now. They are the furthest point from your heart. They are the absolute end of the line for your nerves and your blood vessels. That means they are the canary in the coal mine. They are the very first place your body signals a system-wide failure. The heat you feel isn't just warmth. It is a distress signal. It is a scream for help from nerves that are under attack. And here is the reality that most people ignore until it is too late. If you ignore the heat, the next stage isn't just more heat. The next stage is silence. It is numbness. The nerves burn out completely. Once that feeling is gone, it is incredibly hard to get it back. You go from burning to feeling like you are walking on blocks of wood. You lose your balance. You lose your independence. So please do not click away. Do not assume this is just part of getting older. It isn't. We are going to fix the root cause. We aren't just going to tell you to buy better socks. We are going to look at the wiring of your body and turn off that alarm signal safely. You need to hear this before the burning turns into permanent numbness. We are going to walk through the 5 hidden triggers that your doctor probably hasn't mentioned, including a healthy ingredient sitting in your kitchen right now that is acting like lighter fluid for your nerves. Let's start by clearing up a massive misconception. If you go to a general practitioner with this complaint, especially if you are a woman over 50, they often smile that sympathetic smile and say, it's just menopause, or it's just hormones. They tell you to buy a cooling gel, but that ignores a massive hole in the theory. Men get this too.
Men in their 60s and 70s suffer from this just as much as women, and women in their 80s get it decades after menopause has finished. It isn't just hormones. It is mechanics. It is plumbing. It is electricity. Think of your body like a house. You have pipes, blood vessels, and you have wires, nerves. If a wire in your wall is frayed, or if a connection is loose, what happens? The wire gets hot. Electricity creates heat when it meets resistance. Your nerves are just biological wires. They carry electrical signals from your brain to your toes. When those nerves are healthy, the signal is clean, fast, and cool. You don't feel anything. But when that wire is damaged or compressed or starved of nutrients, the resistance goes up. The signal gets scrambled. Your brain receives this scrambled static and it has to interpret it. It interprets that static as heat. It feels like fire, but there is no fire. It is an electrical error. So when your feet burn, you don't need to check your estrogen levels. You need to check your wiring. You need to find out what is chewing on your nerves. Is it a chemical? Is it pressure? Is it a lack of fuel? We are going to go through the list one by one and rule them out. This is about mechanics, not menopause. And we are going to start with the most common yet most overlooked cause, the vitamin thief in your medicine cabinet. Let's talk about insulation. Your nerves are not just bare wires floating in your leg. They have a protective coating. It is called the myelin sheath. Imagine a heavy-duty orange extension cord you use in the garden. That thick orange plastic coating keeps the electricity inside the wire and protects it from the rain, the dirt, and the physical wear and tear. As long as that plastic is thick and strong, the wire works perfectly. But if you take a knife and shave off that plastic, the raw copper wire is exposed. If that raw wire touches anything, water, dirt, your own flesh, it sparks, it shorts out, it burns. In your body, that myelin sheath is made of specific nutrients. The most critical one, the absolute building block of nerve insulation, is vitamin B12. Without enough B12, the plastic coating on your nerves starts to melt away. It gets thin, it gets patchy. Eventually, the raw nerve ending is exposed. That burning you feel at night, that is the raw wire touching your own tissue. Now, here's the twist. You might say, I eat plenty of meat, I eat eggs, I take a multivitamin, my B12 is fine. But are you absorbing it? There is a thief that might be stealing that B12 before it ever reaches your blood. If you suffer from heartburn or acid reflux, and you take antacids or PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, regularly, you are in the danger zone. Here's why. Your stomach needs strong acid to separate B12 from the food you eat. It is a chemical extraction process. If you take medication to suppress your stomach acid, you are turning off that extraction machine. You can eat the finest steak in the world, packed with B12, but without the acid, that vitamin just passes right through you and ends up in the toilet. You are starving your nerves while eating a full meal. There is another thief, metformin. If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic and taking metformin, you need to know this. A major study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that long-term metformin use significantly lowers B12 levels. It blocks absorption in the gut.
If you have been on these meds for years, your tank is empty. Your nerves are naked. So what is the fix? You cannot just stop your heart medication or your diabetes medication. That is dangerous. But you can bypass the gut. If your stomach isn't doing the job, you need to use a different door. Look for methylcobalamin. That is the natural, bioavailable form of B12. And here is the secret. Get it in a sublingual form. That means a little lozenge that dissolves under your tongue. When it dissolves there, it goes directly into your bloodstream, bypassing your stomach acid entirely. It is like a direct injection for your nerves. If you have been suffering for years, this simple switch can start rebuilding that insulation within weeks. Now, let's move to a physical problem. Sometimes the issue isn't chemical, it's a plumbing blockage. Everyone knows about carpal tunnel syndrome in the wrist. You type too much, the tunnel gets tight, the hand goes numb or burns. Well, you have the exact same tunnel in your ankle. It's called the tarsal tunnel. The tibial nerve runs right through it to get to the bottom of your foot. Think about your day. You are on your feet, maybe you wear shoes that are a little bit tight, perhaps those dress shoes you've had for years that have lost their support. Maybe you had a salty lunch, a ham sandwich or some soup, and your body is holding on to a little bit of water. By 5 p.m., your ankles swell up just a tiny bit. You might not even see it, but it's there. That swelling is fluid. That fluid takes up space in the tunnel. It starts to crush the nerve. Throughout the day, you might not notice it because you are moving. Your muscles are pumping, the blood is flowing. But then you lay down. You stop moving. The fluid settles. The pressure creates a traffic jam in the nerve. That pressure creates heat. It feels like a burning tire around your ankle or the sole of your foot. If you notice that your feet feel full or puffy when the burning starts, this is likely your culprit. Here's a quick test you can do tonight. Look at your shoes. Are they squeezing your toes together? When you take them off, do you have red marks on your skin? If your toes are squished, the metatarsal bones compress the nerves between them. This is called a Morton's neuroma, but it often just feels like generalized burning. Try this simple experiment. For the next week, wear your widest, ugliest, most comfortable shoes, or loosen the laces on your sneakers significantly. Skip the bottom 2 eyelets to give your forefoot room to spread. If the night fire goes away, you know it was just a wardrobe malfunction, not a disease. But what if it's not the shoes? What if it's what you are drinking? There is a habit that feels like a solution but is actually a trap. The nightcap. A lot of us like a glass of wine, a beer, or a little brandy to help us fall asleep. It relaxes the mind. It makes you feel heavy. It seems like the perfect way to wind down. But for your nerves, alcohol is like pouring gasoline on a smoldering fire. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. That is a scientific fact. It is poison to nerve tissue. When you drink, even a moderate amount, it directly damages the protective coating of the nerve fibers. But it does something else that causes that specific hot frit sensation. It messes with your temperature regulation. Alcohol is a vasodilator. That is a fancy word that means it pops your blood vessels open wide, instantly. All the blood rushes from your core to your skin. That is why people get rosy cheeks when they drink. Well, that blood also rushes to your feet. So now look at the situation. You have nerves that are already irritated, perhaps a bit damaged, and now you are flooding them with a massive surge of hot blood. It creates a flush that feels like your feet are inside an oven. You might fall asleep faster because of the alcohol, but as the alcohol metabolizes in the middle of the night, your body temperature spikes and you wake up sweating with your feet burning. Try a challenge, just for 3 nights. Swap that nightcap for tart cherry juice or a cup of chamomile tea. Tart cherry juice naturally boosts melatonin, helping you sleep without the heat spike. See if the fire in your feet dies down. Most people are shocked that such a small change makes such a massive difference. Now, speaking of blood rushing to the feet, we have to talk about gravity. Your circulatory system is a loop. Arteries pump fresh oxygenated blood down to your toes. That's the easy part because gravity helps. It flows downhill. But the veins have to push that used, oxygen-depleted blood back up to the heart. That is hard work. It is uphill. It is fighting gravity every inch of the way. To do this, your leg veins have little tiny valves inside them. They act like one-way swinging doors. Blood pushes up, the door swings open. Blood tries to fall back down, the door snaps shut. It is a brilliant system. But as we get older, those doors get a little rusty. They get a little floppy. They don't close all the way. Some of the blood leaks back down. Doctors call this venous insufficiency, but really it's just a stagnant pool. When you are standing or sitting all day, that blood pools in your lower legs and feet. It creates pressure, it creates inflammation, and because that blood is used, it has given up its oxygen and picked up waste products. It is toxic to the tissues if it sits there too long. It is acidic. When you lie down at night, that pooled blood is still there, irritating the nerves, causing that heat and heaviness. If you have restless legs along with the burning, that feeling that you just have to move your legs to get relief, this is almost certainly your problem. Moving the legs pumps the muscles, which squeezes the veins and pushes the blood out. That is why moving feels good. So how do we fix this without surgery? We use physics. We use gravity in reverse. You need to elevate your feet, but you have to do it right. Putting a pillow under your knees is actually bad. It can cut off circulation behind the knee. You need a wedge pillow, or you need to prop up the foot of your mattress slightly. You want your feet to be just a few inches higher than your heart. This turns the uphill battle into a downhill slide. The old, hot blood drains out of your feet effortlessly while you sleep. It takes the pressure off the nerves. It cools the system down. Now, remember that healthy toxin I mentioned at the very beginning? The one sitting in your kitchen cabinet? We need to close that loop, because this is the most insidious trigger of all. It is hidden in plain sight. I want you to mentally walk into your kitchen. Open the pantry. Look at the bottles of oil. Look at the salad dressing. Look at the mayonnaise. Look at the ingredients on that box of crackers.
You are looking for these words: vegetable oil, soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, or safflower oil. For the last 40 years, we have been told these are heart healthy. We were told to swap butter for margarine. We were told to cook with canola oil instead of lard. It was a massive experiment, and the results are in. It was a disaster for our nerves. These industrial seed oils are incredibly high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, you need a little bit of omega-6, but the modern diet provides about 20 times more than we need. Here is why that matters for your burning feet. Omega-6 is pro-inflammatory. It is the chemical precursor to inflammation. When you consume these oils every single day, you are building your body out of them. Your cell membranes, the outer skins of your cells, including your nerve cells, are made of fat. If you eat stable fats like olive oil or butter, your cell walls are strong and flexible. If you eat unstable, oxidized seed oils, your cell walls become weak and prone to inflammation. You are essentially building your house out of dry straw instead of brick. When your nerves are built with these unstable fats, they are hypersensitive. They are constantly on the verge of firing. They are inflamed from the inside out. Feeding your nerves seed oils is like wrapping them in sandpaper. You can take all the pills you want, but if you are feeding the fire with every meal, the burning will never stop. I know this is hard to hear because these oils are in everything, but try this experiment. For 2 weeks, become a label detective. If it has soybean oil or vegetable oil on the label, don't buy it. Switch exclusively to extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, or real butter or ghee. These fats are stable. They nourish the nervous system instead of inflaming it. Watch the inflammation and the heat drop within a few weeks. It is not an instant fix, but it is a permanent one. Now, let's talk about immediate relief. You are lying in bed tonight, your feet are burning. You have changed your diet, you took your B12, but that takes time. You need to sleep now. What do? The biggest mistake people make is grabbing an ice pack. Do not use ice. I repeat, do not use ice. I know it feels like the right thing to do. It numbs the pain instantly, but ice shocks the nerves. It constricts the blood vessels so tight that the blood flow stops completely. When you take the ice off, your body panics. It thinks we're freezing down there, and it opens the floodgates. Blood rushes back in twice as fast and twice as hot. It is called the rebound effect. Your feet will end up hotter and more painful 20 minutes later than they were before. Instead, you want to use tepid water. Fill a basin with cool water, not cold, just cool, maybe around 60 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Soak your feet for 10 to 15 minutes. This lowers the temperature of the tissue gently without triggering the shock response. It soothes the nerves without causing a rebound. If you use a numbing cream or a lidocaine patch, here's a secret almost nobody tells you. Don't put it on the sole of the foot where the skin is thick and calloused. The medicine can't get through that leather-like skin. Put it on the top of the foot or around the ankle. The skin is much thinner there, and the medicine can soak down to the nerves much faster. You will get double the relief from the same amount of cream.
I also want to give you a physical tool to fix that tarsal tunnel compression we talked about. We need to floss the nerve. Yes, just like you floss your teeth to get gunk out from between them, you can slide the nerve back and forth through the tunnel to break up the sticky adhesions that are trapping it. This is a technique used by top physical therapists, but you can do it sitting on the edge of your bed. Here is exactly how to do it. Sit in a chair or on the bed where your feet don't touch the ground. Straighten your painful leg out in front of you. Now point your toe hard like a ballerina. Hold for 2 seconds. Then pull your toe back hard toward your nose. Flex it as far as it will go. Hold for 2 seconds. Do this 10 times. Here is what is happening. When you point your toe, you are pulling the nerve down. When you flex your toe up, you are pulling the nerve up. You are sliding the nerve back and forth inside its sheath. This sliding motion frees the nerve from the surrounding tissue. It gets the blood flowing and reduces the pressure. It lubricates the tunnel. Now, a major safety warning. This should not hurt. If you feel a sharp electrical zap, stop immediately. You are pulling too hard. Make the movement smaller. It should feel like a gentle stretch, not a stab. If you have balance issues or a history of ankle injuries, talk to a clinician before trying this. But for most people, this nerve flossing is a game changer. Do it every night before you get under the covers. There is one more hidden factor we have to address, and it is the silent burner, high blood sugar. You might be thinking, I'm not diabetic, this doesn't apply to me. But listen closely. You don't have to be a full-blown diabetic to have nerve damage from sugar. It is a spectrum. If your blood sugar spikes high after a meal and stays high for a few hours, a process called glycation happens. Imagine dipping a strawberry in hot sugar syrup to make candy. The sugar coats the fruit and hardens. It becomes brittle. Glycation is basically that process happening to your proteins. Sugar molecules stick to the proteins in your nerves and your blood vessels. They form a crust. This crust prevents nutrients from getting into the nerve. It suffocates the nerve. The result? Peripheral neuropathy, that burning, tingling sensation. Even if your fasting blood sugar is normal at the doctor's office, your post-meal spikes might be doing damage. The fix isn't necessarily medication. It is movement. There's a rule you should live by. Never eat a carb without a walk. If you eat pasta, bread, or potatoes, go for a 10-minute walk immediately after. Just 10 minutes. That walk activates your muscles, and your muscles act like a sponge for sugar. They suck the sugar out of your blood to use for energy, preventing it from sticking to your nerves. It is the cheapest, most effective medicine in the world. So, let's recap your battle plan. We've covered a lot of ground, and I want you to have a clear checklist for tonight. First, check your medicine cabinet. Are you taking antacids or metformin? If so, you are likely B12 deficient. Get a sublingual methylcobalamin supplement and start rebuilding your nerve insulation. Second, perform the Pantry Purge. Read your labels. If you see soybean, corn, or canola oil, throw it out. Replace it with olive oil, butter, or coconut oil to stop the systemic inflammation that is setting your nerves on fire. Third, look at your footwear. Are you crushing your tarsal tunnel? Loosen those laces. Try the nerve flossing exercise. Point and flex to get the traffic moving in your ankles. Fourth, rethink your nightcap. Alcohol opens the floodgates of hot blood to your feet. Swap it for tart cherry juice for 3 days and feel the difference. Fifth,
Use gravity. Elevate the foot of your bed. Let the old blood drain out. And if you need immediate relief, use tepid water, never ice. And remember the check engine light. This heat is a warning. It is your body telling you that something is wrong with the supply chain. It is telling you that your nerves are hungry, compressed, or inflamed. Don't just cover it up with a sleeping pill. Don't just accept it as old age. It is not old age. It is maintenance. You have the power to fix this. You have the tools. You understand the mechanics now. You are not just a patient. You are the mechanic. There is one final secret I want to leave you with. It is a supplement that is barely talked about, but it is a powerhouse for nerve pain. It is called alpha-lipoic acid, ALA. It is an antioxidant that specifically protects nerve cells. In Europe, it is a prescription treatment for diabetic neuropathy. In the US, you can buy it on the shelf. Research from the Mayo Clinic and others suggests it can reduce burning pain significantly. If you have tried everything else, look into ALA. It might be the missing link for you. If you found this helpful, if you learned something new about your body today, please share this with a friend who is losing sleep. You might just save them from years of pain. And if you want to go even deeper into the circulatory side of things, why your veins might be the real culprit, you really need to check out our other deep dive video on why veins fail. It connects all the dots we talked about regarding gravity and valves. Tap the card on the screen right now to watch it. I'll see you there. Sleep cool tonight.